For this video, I will be demonstrating how to wind a bobbin, the machine that we use most often in class, which is the Brother XL2600i. Typically, bobbins come empty, like this one. And as we have talked about when we talked about different equipment that we'll be using, the bobbin provides the thread for the lower part of the machine. If you thread the machine incorrectly when you are winding a bobbin, what happens is you get a bobbin that looks like this, with loose threads, sort of tangled, very messy looking. And if we were to put this bobbin in the machine and try to sew, we would encounter a lot of jamming. The thread would get very tangled up. That's because the bobbin was not wound correctly. So it is important to do this part the right way. If you've done it correctly, your bobbin would look more like this one, with the thread wound on very smoothly, similar to how a new spool of thread looks when you buy it. That's what we're looking for. I'm going to use a bright color thread for this demonstration so that hopefully it will be easy to see. You're going to start always by putting your thread on the spool pin, and on these machines you'll notice that there's actually some diagrams on the machine itself to help you with remembering the instructions. So from the spool pin, we need to go here to this disc that's on the top of this. This disc is the bobbin winding tension disc, and what it does is holds a consistent amount of tension on the thread as the bobbin is winding, and this is one of the key steps that helps prevent it from being loopy and messy looking like the first example that I showed you. If you look at the diagram, you see that the thread needs to pass in front of the bobbin tension disc before it passes around the back and crosses over. We are not wrapping the thread around this, we're just loosely looping it. And then we're coming here, and this is the bobbin winding spindle. So this peg actually turns, and that's what fills the bobbin with thread. So we're going to put an empty bobbin here, and then we're going to wrap the free end of the thread so that it's secure enough that when we start winding, the thread will stay. The last step before we wind the bobbin is to slide it to the right like this, and it will click into place. This has two purposes. First, with the bobbin being close to this disc, this will help to automatically stop the bobbin when it becomes full, so that you can't overwind it. The other thing that happens is when this peg is moved to the right, the needle is frozen, and so it will not move up and down when you push the pedal. Only the peg will spin to fill the bobbin. And that's going to help so that you don't break your needle as it's going up and down when you don't actually need to sew anything. And it's also safer if this needle's not moving when you don't need it to. On this machine, sliding the bobbin to the right freezes the needle. On other machines, there may be a button to freeze the needle. There may be another switch of some kind. It just differs from one model to another. At this point, we're going to push the pedal, which is going to spin the spindle and load thread onto the bobbin. And you may have to just hold the thread a little bit at the beginning to make sure that it's going to stay secure. And you also want to check and make sure it's not winding onto the spindle itself, that it's actually winding onto the bobbin. And then you can see as the machine runs, the bobbin will continue to slowly fill, and it's smooth, even, loading on correctly. And then once it's full, we would cut the thread and we would have a bobbin that we could use.